Welcome, everybody, to the Millenary Mindset. This is Dairo coming at you with another thought bubble. And today I want to talk about emergency funds and the importance of it, why I have one, why you should have one, and I'll couple that with a story that just literally happened to us yesterday that reinforced that thought. So, what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is basically a few months saved up, and it doesn't have to be that many months. Usually, is 3 to 6 months saved up for anything that might happen. Right, that's usually your emergency fund. But most people start off with a very low amount, and that's great, right? You need to start off somewhere. It I saw a consensus earlier or a study earlier that most average middle class Americans here in the United States can't even come up with $1,000 for in case of emergency. That's crazy. You guys need to have an emergency fund for rainy days. And let me ask you, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. When was the last time you had a bad experience economically? When did you have a certain debt or certain obligation that came up randomly that put you under or made you say, oh my God, I shouldn't have spent that money that I spent last week on that TV, on the car, on the PlayStation, or whatever it is? That emergency fund is a peace of mind to know that if anything were to come up, anything whatsoever, you are saved. So usually you want to start off your emergency fund with $500 to $1,000, right? And you just put that away slowly but surely until you have that $1,000, and you want it liquid, liquid cash available as soon as possible. Don't put it in a money market account. I'm sorry, that by the time you pull it out, it's gonna take 2 to 3 weeks. You need it somewhere available, fast and ready to go. Safe box, savings account. I've heard crazy things as a frame where you smash it and you grab the money wherever it is. Just have it ready to go. I personally like to keep 1,500 to $1,000 just free, liquid, for anything that happens, not just to me, but to any of my close relatives, like my brothers and sisters. I am the oldest of four, so whenever they have problems, I want to make sure I'm there to help them out, just in case. Then, aside from that, I started building my large emergency fund, let's call it that, where it's 3 to 6 months just in case anything happens to me or anything happens to Tara, where we're saved. So the story I want to tell you guys, which happened yesterday, we are both dog owners, right? We love our dogs, Oliver and Luna. And the past 3 days, Oliver has been puking nonstop. Stopped eating, stopped drinking water, and just, I mean, when I'm talking about puking, I'm talking about horror film puking. So today's Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday. Friday, Taro was really concerned because he hasn't stopped puking and he hasn't eaten anything. So Saturday morning, it looked like he was a little better, but around 7:30 in the morning, he began to puke again. So we decided to take him to the vet's office. We went to the vet's office. The vet's office told us that it was a possible obstruction. They couldn't do anything there, so we had to go to the emergency room. They charged us $48 at the vet's office. Once we got to the vet's office, they needed to run some tests, do an X-ray, and that came out to around $608. We went to eat breakfast, came back, they called us, and then they told us that they found two obstructions in Oliver's stomach and intestine. We were devastated. Oliver has always had a great health. He's a bull terrier pit mix. He's never had problems, and to hear that all of a sudden he had an obstruction and he needed surgery, we were blown. We didn't know what to think. Let alone think about how much the cost. So then the doctor left, and they brought in the clerk to give us an estimate. The minimum amount to pay just for the surgery was around $3,300. The maximum amount was around $5,500. So let me explain. The minimum amount that may take if everything goes great, it's $3,300. But if there's complications, if there's certain things that may happen throughout the surgery or even after the surgery, it might sum up to $5,500. $3,300, $5,500 when we just paid $600 and then 48. We were devastated. $4,000. We're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Hopefully, we could apply for care credit, but we already had care credit because Luna decided to eat a frog last year, and that twice. And that kind of put us out of commission for a while. So we already had used up most of our care credit. And at this point, our heart sank. But the good thing about it this time around is that we had an emergency fund. Yes, it was a large amount of money, but it's not like it took us out of commission. If this was 2 years ago, we wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't have that money. And we went to the hospital yesterday on a Saturday afternoonish, where most banks aren't open, business aren't working. How would we come up with that money? And the doctor told us that he can make it to Monday, but by Monday, he'll be 3 times worse. So I was able to grab all the money that I had split around in different accounts just so we wouldn't touch it, put them in one, and we were able to pay this off. And today we went to visit. We just came back from visiting him in the hospital. He looked very sedated, but he looks good. And he came out great. But that was because we decided to stick to it and get our emergency fund in place, because we just know there's always something that's going to happen. And we were having the conversation over dinner on Friday, how we wanted a plan to start doing trips. But I told her that I still felt that we needed to still lock down our defenses economically, right? We needed to still beef up our savings account, because look, things like this happen. And imagine a family, imagine you. Think about you and your loved ones. Imagine something like this happened out of nowhere, because this happened out of nowhere, and it was a sock, for God's sakes. It was a sock. He ate a sock. What happens if this is you? You don't have your emergency funds. You have no credit. All your balances on your credit cards are used up, and you don't have enough money in the bank account. What would you do? I know it's a horrible position to put you in, but these are the positions that we have to think about when it comes to our loved ones, when it comes to ourselves. So I just wanted to relay that message to you guys. Please, 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 please. Start putting money away in your emergency fund. Any little bit counts, because any little bit helps when it comes to you. Food for thought. Thank you.